In the dead of night in a remote farmhouse in Rhode Island, something evil stirs. Objects move, whispers echo, and a presence both malevolent and ancient begins to awaken. This is the terrifying tale of the Conjuring, based on the chilling true story from the files of paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. Welcome back, everyone. It's me. And for tonight's scary story, we're gonna now step into the shoes of Ed, April, and little Cindy, who made plans to relocate from there, home in Connecticut, to a rural farmhouse in Harrisville, Rhode Island. The farmhouse sat ominously at the edge of town on a sprawling 400-acre plot of land. The property had been in Roger's family for generations. In fact, his great-great-grandfather had been one of the original settlers of the town. At first she thought that it could have been caused by animals or perhaps some children playing in the attic above. Carolyn began experiencing strange symptoms like migraines and nosebleeds. Her dreams were haunted by visions of a cloven-hoofed creature standing at the foot of her bed. At one point, Roger and Carolyn were in bed when they witnessed a rocking chair moving by itself across the room. Then suddenly it flew through the air and crashed into the wall. Another time, little Cindy, who was playing in the living room, when a book flew out of the bookshelf and struck her in the head. Lorraine also discovered the remains of several other people buried on the property, including those of a young girl who had been burned to death in a fire. With each passing day, the activity in the house grew more intense. She confronted the witch, demanding that she leave the house immediately. With a final surge of demonic energy, Bathsheba fled, along with the other spirits that had been haunting the Perron family, finally free from the grip of the curse. Lorraine was scratched and bitten during seances, and the family began to experience even more terrifying phenomena, including regular power outages, shaking beds, shaking cuts, and even apparitions appearing at the foot of their beds. Luckily, the cut on her forehead wasn't serious, but the Perrons knew that they had to do something to protect their children from whatever evil force was haunting their home. You never know what might be lurking in the shadows. The Warrens gathered the Perrons together for a final confrontation with the spirits. I hope you enjoyed this terrifying tale of paranormal investigation and demonic possession. If you did, please don't forget to hit like and share for more spine-tingling stories. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Armed with holy water, crucifixes, and prayers, they performed an exorcism to banish the evil from the house. The house, however, was not so lucky. It had been severely damaged by the demonic activity and was ultimately abandoned by the family. The battle between good and evil was fierce, and the Warrens were nearly overwhelmed by the sheer power of the darkness that had taken root in the farmhouse. It was based on the real-life experiences of the Perron family and the investigations of Ed and Lorraine Warren. The Warrens kept detailed files of their paranormal investigations, and The Conjuring was based on one of their most famous cases, while the names of the characters in the movie were changed to protect the privacy of the real-life individuals involved. The events themselves are said to be true, and she frequently woke up with scratches on her body. She also started seeing apparitions in the house, including that of a girl in a Victorian nightgown. They quickly discovered that the entity haunting the house was not only powerful, but also deeply rooted in the history of the home. As Lorraine began to communicate with the entity, she learned that the spirit of an angry and vengeful witch named Bathsheba Sherman resided in the house and was responsible for the torment of the Perron family. But when the scratches continued to appear, spreading from the entryway to the rest of the house, it became clear that there was something sinister at work. And as the Perrons began preparations to move into the old farmhouse, they were excited to raise their family in such a historic home. And Lorraine Warren had experienced one of their most famous cases, the haunting of the Perron family. But before we begin, Make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss an upload. At first, it was small, inexplicable things like clocks throughout the house inexplicably, dying, random floorboards creaking and doors opening and closing on their own. But then the phenomena escalated. One evening, while Carolyn was in the kitchen with her daughters, they heard what sounded like clapping coming from the basement. Naturally, they assumed that it was just mice. But the sound continued to increase in volume and ferocity, and it soon became clear that whatever was down there wasn't of this world. Also, stick around after the story for more creepy content. Now let's dive into the chilling narrative of The Conjuring. As the year 1971 drew to a close, Roger and Carolyn, Perron along with their 5 daughters, Andrea, Nancy, Christine. But as we now know, what the Perrons didn't realize was that they weren't just moving into an old house, they were stepping into a living nightmare. After the family moved in, strange things began to happen. Then there were the scratches on the floor. One day Carolyn discovered that the floor in the entrance hall had been inexplicably scratched up. All the while, the atmosphere in the house grew heavy with dread. In addition to the physical disturbances and Carolyn's disturbing experiences, the family also experienced terrifying instances of objects moving on their own, shaking violently and even flying through the air. So they reached out to 2 paranormal investigators, Ed and Lorraine Warren, who had built up a reputation for helping families tormented by demons and other malevolent entities. Upon arriving at the Perron farmhouse, Ed and Lorraine wasted no time in beginning their investigation. But Bathsheba was only one of many spirits that inhabited the house. One night, Lorraine was even levitated during a seance. Just when it seemed that all hope was lost, Lorraine was able to contact the spirit of Bathsheba directly. In the aftermath of the exorcism, the Perron family was left shaken but ultimately unharmed. Some say that the spirits eventually found a new home in the woods nearby, while others claim that they remained trapped forever in the cursed farmhouse. It's important to note that The Conjuring wasn't just a fictional horror movie. So if you ever find yourself in Harrisville, Rhode Island, be sure to keep an eye out for the old farmhouse on the hill. And that's our chilling journey into the world of The Conjuring.